Good afternoon, everybody. Tracy Di Bartolo, Thermomix consultant here yet again. It's becoming a bit of a habit, but that's okay. Hopefully you don't mind. Greetings to everybody who might be out there already. If you are, just thumbs up, love heart, you know the drill. I just really like to know that there are some people watching me, which is very exciting. All right, now this is a bit of a sentimental post today. And the reason that it's sentimental is that it is the anniversary of my beautiful mum tomorrow. So she will have left us 8 years ago, which is incredibly difficult to believe that it's been 8 years, and I miss her every day, and I'm not going to cry, okay? Cool. So the history is that my mum's descendants were from Cornwall, which I learnt when I was doing my family tree. And so I never really understood that as a teenager, why it was so important to her to do our annual Cornish pasty making event. It was fantastic. I used to love doing it. We would spend all day together up to our elbows in flour and mince, etc. And it would take us all day to make these pasties. So I was really, really chuffed when I saw in the cookbook Simply Delicious. So the Cornish pasty recipe in here is really quite authentic, I think, but it also gives you a bit of flexibility if you want to change up some of the ingredients, which I'll go through a little later. All right, so I'll just reflect on when I was making them with my mum as a teenager, how we used to obviously back then do everything by hand. So I would be my first job would be to make the pastry. So she taught me how to rub the butter into the flour, add just the right amount of salt, add just the right amount of water, bring it all together with a knife. And it was not difficult, but it was just laborious, wasn't it? Making pastry by hand like that. And then kneading it out and resting it and getting it to the point where you're ready to divvy it up and roll it out. So that used to take me probably a good half an hour to do that, to get it to a point where it's ready to roll out. In the Thermomix, it literally takes less than a minute, really, probably 30 seconds even. It's very, very quick. So then we would get out the old mincer. So hands up, anybody who remembers the mincers from their childhood, would sit on the edge of your bench, and you would push in the meat and then around and around and around, and out it would spit the other end. So we would do that. That would take ages, probably a good half an hour just to mince the meat, and then chop up all the veggies and have them ready, mix it all together. So again, that process would take us probably an hour to do, the mincing of the meat and the chopping of the veggies. But of course, in the Thermomix, it's a minute. Like, it really is that quick. So all of the hard work gets done by this little fella here, and then all that's left for us to do is to roll out. So the recipe says, and it's a really, really good hint, that once you've made your full batch of dough, to chop it up, divvy it up into about 95 gram portions. So that's excellent, because then you know how much, how many you've got to make, and you should get about 10. I actually squeezed 11 out of mine. And then I just make them into a little bit of a round disc, and I put them onto this mat. Now, hopefully you can see, this is one of the Thermomix Thermo mats, which are a wonderful host reward. So if you haven't got a mat and you want to know how to get one for maybe nothing or for a very little amount, send me a message and I can explain it to you. But what's great about these mats is that the circles each are marked with the circumference of your disc. So I want to make it to about 20. So I'm starting at about 8. Now, rolling out, again, it's not difficult, but there is a bit of a knack to it. I don't particularly have the knack, but I do my best. So this is also a Mix Shop rolling pin, which I do really love. It's just fits beautifully in your hand. But the idea is that you just roll it and turn, roll and turn, roll and turn. So the idea is to try and keep it into as much of a circle as possible. And I feel that by the time, when you do your first one, I always look at it and think, oh dear, that's really uneven, and I end up having to trim it. So I use something like this, which is just a little Thermomix pastry device. It's only $3 or something like that in the mix shop. And you can always just trim around the edge. It's important to use something that's plastic, not metal, on your Thermomat, because you do not want to cut through it. Okay, so you can always trim if you want, and if you haven't got a mat that is like this one and has got the circles in it, then just use maybe a plate, pre-measure a plate, and what we're looking for is about 20 centimeters, give or take, you know. So I'm just going to quickly finish that off, and it's not going to be perfect, but it's close enough, you know. There it is, close enough. Beautiful. So once you have done that, then it's just a simple matter of a little bit of egg, and I've put a bit of milk in this one as well. So we just around the edges of our disc of pastry, all around the edge. And then we grab, it says in the recipe about 3 heaped tablespoons of the mixture. So that's actually the mixture. It's got my minced meat in there and all of my chopped up veggies. I did change one of the veggies. I didn't have turnips or Swedes, go figure, not something I ever buy. So I have just substituted those for whatever it was that I had in the fridge, and that I knew would go into a pasty. Fine. Okay, so that's it. You've got your filling in there. And another, probably something that I thought of as I was making these earlier today, is that it's not a bad idea, in the same way that we portioned out all of the pastry, it's a good idea to probably portion out your filling, because you end up with a big bowl of it, and you can get a bit heavy-handed at the beginning or a bit light on. So if you want to, you can just quickly divvy it out to match up the amount of pastry that you've got, and you know, then you've got even pasties. I didn't do that, but it kind of worked out anyway. All right, so now we are going to bring together the 2 edges. Hopefully you can see that. And I just squeeze all the way from the middle out to one end, and then the same, just squeeze from the middle out to one end. And then I simply start at one end, and you squeeze and push, if you like. Squeeze and push, squeeze and push. And that's just making the, like it gathers up and gives you that layer on the top of your Cornish pasty. I'll just turn it around, so I'm hoping that you can see this at home. Squeeze and push, squeeze and push, squeeze and push. Awesome. So that is as simple as that. Now I've got a couple of other non-baked ones sitting here. I'm going to add this one to it, and then again with my trusty egg and milk wash, that just goes over the top, and then it goes into a nice hot oven. The temperature should be at least 200. My oven runs a little bit cool, so I did put mine up to 210, but that's just my oven, so you have a feel for your own oven. I'm sure you will work that out. So that's an example of what they'll look like before they go into the oven. And of course, because it is the magic of Facebook Live, I have already some that are cooked. And here they are. So this is 6 that I've pre-cooked. I've got another couple over there that didn't quite fit on here, and then 3 more to go in. So that is going to be an awesome lunch tomorrow for my dad, as we celebrate and remember my mum, who we love dearly, and we will think of her when we're eating these Cornish pasties. All right, that's enough sentimentality, Tracy. I'm a bit of a sentimental. All right, a few little tips that I wrote out as I was doing it. So the Simply Delicious book that it comes out of, the idea of all the recipes in this book It's called Family Meals for Under $5 a Serve. And there is a whole book here of things that you can make for your family for less than $5 per person, which is just pretty awesome, I think. You're doing it from scratch. It's going to be awesome, and it's going to save you a lot of money as well. So that is a really lovely book if you want to look on Cookie Do and look up the Simply Delicious collection. It says that the pasties come to about $1.60 or something like that each. So well under the $2 mark. And I think honestly that they're probably cheaper than that, especially when certain veggies are in season and they're cheap, you know, they cost next to nothing to make. All right, now with the pastry, what you find with pastry is that it can differ how much water you put into your pastry. And I think it's just weather related, you know, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, it's raining, it's dry, it's humid, it's not humid. So my advice to you is to follow the recipe exactly and then have a little look at how lift the lid, have a look at how the pastry, and it should come together, like it should look like it's about to be able to easy to form it into a dough, so not too crumbly. Mine was actually a little bit crumbly this morning when I made it earlier. So I added an extra 20 grams of cold water in the end, and then just went back and mixed it again, and then looked at it, and I could see that now it looks like when I tip it out, it's actually already starting to form that dough ball. The other really brilliant thing with this recipe is it's one of the recipes on the TM6 that comes with a little video. So when you get to the point where it says to knead it, and so you've kneaded it, the next step, you press the play button and it shows you exactly how your dough should look when you tip it out onto your mat. So it's a fantastic thing. It's a really good visual. You can see, that's what it's meant to look like. So there's quite a few recipes on the TM6 that have got that little video. Obviously you don't get that on the previous models. So I think that that's a fantastic improvement that Thermomix have made. All right, so that's the first thing. With the filling, so as I said before, I think that next time I will portion it out so that I get even. Because looking at my pasties, I think I've got some that are a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. So if you want a more even batch, then certainly do that, divvy them out, and don't be afraid to chunk up your ingredients. So I didn't have, you know, some of them, and I just put in some other veggies that I knew would match. And you can, the recipe says that you can choose whether or not to store them unbaked. So if you want to make a whole batch, make them ahead, but you don't want to bake them yet, that's okay. You can actually cover this over unbaked like this in the fridge for up to 24 hours and then put them in the oven. Alternatively, if you want to make them even further ahead than that, you can make them and then freeze them. I would probably make sure that they're flat frozen and that I have some sort of a cling wrap or something on them to stop them from sticking together. And they can be frozen for up to a month, which is pretty great. And then you can, so if you're planning a big party or something like that, you can make these in advance and then just pull them out, allow them to defrost overnight and then bake them the next day. I have baked them, as you can see, and then I'm just going to warm them up tomorrow when I have lunch with my dad. So that is everything. And of course, if you bake them and you've got any left over, then you could freeze the cooked ones as well. That would be fine too. All right, so that's all about the Cornish pasties. But while I've got you here, I just want to, if you are watching live or if you're going to be watching sometime later this afternoon into the early evening, we have got a sale on at the moment. So it finishes today, the 29th of July at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's a selection of cleaning products. So an example is the amazing little mini vat. Now that normal price is $2.99. It's a brand new product, so made by Vorwerk, the same people that make the Thermomix, obviously. And it's 35% off. So that comes down to $194.35, and it's just fantastic. So when I make a mess with my flour or whatever, I can just clean up like that, easy peasy, done. And it just stores very easily. It's got a little charging dock and it just stores like that. So it's always ready for you to use. I love it. And the other things that are on sale, there is a few things on sale, but the things that I think are standouts, the brushes. So if you are my customer, then I try very hard to make sure that you get at least one of these brushes when I deliver your machine or come to do your delivery demo. But now, as well as the standard that we've always had, there's these amazing colors. So there's a charcoal gray and green, there's the pinks, which I kind of like, of course, I even wore pink to match it, and then there's the blues. So these are only $3.25 each. Buy yourself 2, 3, 4, whatever. I actually have 2 on the go all the time. So one is the one that I'm currently using. The other one I have under my sink in a jar with some water and a bit of bleach or chlorine or whatever it is you want to use. So that is, it's cleaning, and then I can take that out, you know, maybe swap them around once a week or thereabouts. So you've always got really, really clean, stops them from going that awful yellowy sort of color. So those are on sale. And the other thing that's on sale that I've also shown you guys before, it's called the double-headed cleaning brush. And the beauty of this fellow is that it is designed to fit in. You know how it's really awkward to get into those arms? So in there, and then the other end fits straight into that little hole, flicks out any of the dust or crumbs or whatever, round and around. So that is awesome. I love this tool, and that would now be $9.72. So go on, have a little look, see what you can find and order. And if you are my customer or feel, you know, nice to me, you can pop me in as your consultant, and I do make a tiny little bit on each sale that goes through for my customers. And the last thing I'm going to show you, which I've been doing for ages, and then I was watching a Facebook Live done by Thermomix, the company, and they gave this same hint. And I thought, I've already been doing that. So with these mats, they are really super simple to keep clean. You can just wipe them down with a cloth. You can pop them into your sink and just give them a clean. And to dry them, what I do is I just give them a shake out and then put a tea towel like that, and then just roll them up. Okay, easy as that. And then just give it a bit of a shake, and that gets all of the moisture out. And then I actually store it the same way. I change my tea towel, I get a clean tea towel, and then that is how I store my mats, so that they don't pick up any crumbs and bits and pieces, and they're always sparkly clean when you're ready to use them next. And they're very easy, they just, you know, slide in somewhere because they're just wrapped in a tea towel. Okay, I think that's everything. Note to self, yes, that's everything. All right, thanks so much for joining me. Give me a hey so I know that you were here. Check out the sale if you get a chance to do that before 29th of July at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's 6:30 p.m. for us South Australians. And make the pasties because they're dead simple, and I just know that they're going to be beautiful. I look forward to eating them tomorrow. All right, ciao for now, everybody, and thanks again for joining me. Bye.